Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Nicole and Azan on 90 Day Fiancé. I can't wait to get into it. Let's get to the show. So whenever they have those screens with the words on it, it's never a good thing. So if you did catch that, they said that the crew showed up to film Nicole and Azan and they couldn't find them. And the tense music is starting to play. This usually means very, very bad things.
What's going on?
We've been doing a lot. We've been working in the relationship and all this stuff. But unfortunately, we will cancel the wedding because we have to cancel the wedding because there's a lot of stuff that's going on.
Okay, so I didn't show all the clips leading up to this. They were going to get married in the States, but he couldn't get the visa. They were going to get married in Morocco, but she didn't have the paperwork, so the family lost a lot of money. Azan's family lost a lot of money because they had to push the wedding date back again. They were about to get married like a week out or something, and I think they had spent some more money on things, and that was a concern to the two of them. And then now they're saying they're going to cancel the wedding again because it sounds like they got into a fight. Let's continue watching.
The wedding is off. Why?
We both know that it's not the right time for it because there's a lot of stuff that we have to do. We need more money. There's a lot of stuff. Just we need to wait a little bit and then do the wedding.
So I'm a little worried that there's some big bombshell that's going to go off when Nicole tells us, because Azan is just saying, we put off the wedding because there's just a lot of things we got to do. There's jobs and money, and so, no big deal. Nicole seems to be telling us with her face there's more to that story.
Me and Azan decided to call off the wedding right now because he says we don't have enough money. I am a little sad that the wedding got canceled because I really was excited to marry Azan.
From Nicole's account right now she is saying, yeah, we actually canceled the wedding because we didn't have the money to do it. And maybe that's possible, that the wedding to Azan and Nicole, they're just like, whoa, this is costing a lot of money and we do not have that kind of money, and so let's push it back. Now, of course, it plays into the narrative that a lot of people have watching the show, that Azan is trying to trick Nicole, that Azan has all these other women. I guess, it's a possibility. I suppose we'll find out.
Okay, so I wanted to call you to tell you something. And it's not easy to tell you, but me and Azan feel kind of rushed right now, and we don't really have the money, so we don't feel like it's a good time to have the wedding at this moment.
Okay, so as I've always been hoping for Nicole, that she will be able to have the space and the support to mature so she can make her own decisions in life. And in that clip right there, we see that she's seemingly had a practice thing that she was going to say to her mom, and she's trying to come across like a grown adult who's making grown adult choices. She's struggling with it a little bit, I think, but it was a good job. She's not whining about anything. She's not blaming anyone. She's not throwing Azan under the bus. It seems as though I'm getting the impression that Azan and Nicole had some fighting about the wedding, and Azan was potentially saying something like, look, this is costing way too much money, and I don't want to make my family pay for this amount of money. It's just way too much. And so we need to actually earn some money. I need to get a job. I need to start saving money so that I can help pay for the wedding. I don't know. Maybe that's just taking a guess. And Nicole was saying something like, no, let's get married now. We need to do it now. My family is depending on us getting married now. And they got in a fight about it, and eventually they decided to go with Azan's option, and Nicole had to adopt the justification for it, and it's not coming out very natural for her. That's just a guess.
Nicole, I'm having a hard time with this one. I mean, whose idea was it?
It's both of ours.
there any part of you that thinks maybe Azan is getting cold feet?
I don't think this is because Azan's getting cold feet, because there's no thought in my mind. I don't think of that. There's just no reason to think of it.
What happened?
I don't know. We feel like we can just give it some time and do it later.
Okay, that was my worry, was that the two of them, given their youthful personalities, they are just saying, it's very expensive, let's do it later, if we're going to take their word for it, that's why they're postponing the wedding. That's not a plan, right? Because, of course, the weddings aren't going to cost less in the future. They're going to potentially cost more because of inflation. So just putting it off because of finances alone isn't a rational decision, isn't a mature adult decision. Now, if they said something like, we want to contribute financially and we feel bad that other people are having to pay for this, and we want to have a really great wedding, so we're actually going to spend some time working during this time so that we can contribute to the wedding, or we can actually make sure the wedding is the way we want it to be because, you know, Azan's going to make some money. If they had something like that to say, then that would make some sense. But to just say we're putting off the wedding because it costs a lot, but we'll definitely get married in the future where it's going to cost the same, I don't know what that is.
There are times that Nicole just wants to kind of gloss everything over so that nobody really knows what's really going on. So she'll say that everything is fine, but it's kind of the way she says it, you know that things are really not fine. There's something going on.
Nicole, I don't think I'm going to be able to change my ticket. And I already got rooms booked and everything.
You know, I just want you to know that you don't have to, like, come and be here with me right now.
I mean, you didn't give me much choice. So, I am coming.
I want to hurry up and get over to Morocco so I can get to the bottom of this. If Azan is using my daughter and he never wants to get married, I need to find out.
There's a possibility that they had some kind of fight that was pretty awful between the two of them. Maybe even Azan was caught cheating again or calling people, and the two of them just had some ambivalence about getting married, and they decided, look, let's just call off the wedding, but we'll tell everyone that everything's fine because we don't want anyone judging us and getting involved in our lives. I could see something like that happening as well. So there's just a lot of reasons as to why the wedding would be postponed.
Today I'm going to tell my sister that there is no wedding. Wafa, I'm so scared to tell Wafa because we already like moved the wedding back once, and the first time it was like really bad with my family, and this is the second time that we do that. And my sister been like doing a lot, you know, for our wedding.
حسن ونيكول داروا معايا اليوم باش نجي عندهم ونتلاقى معاهم باش يكون لنا معاهم ولكن احنا فرحانين قدر الله نعاودوا نضرب في العرس دابا.
So if I'm reading this right, the sister has shelled out a lot of money again, and now they're going to cancel the wedding again. So this is the decision-making of children, right? Like, let's get married, and then we're going to spend all this money, and then, oh, sorry, it's off. I'm not mocking them. I'm not making fun of them, but it's been my hypothesis or my conceptualization of the two of them that they have very youthful personalities, meaning that for whatever reason, arrested development-wise, mistreatment-wise, some family dynamic, family role-wise, the two of them just don't really think about the bigger picture the way that adults usually do. And they think the way younger people think, which is more myopic, meaning they see more about what's right in front of them instead of the broader consequences to their actions. It's hard to know. I mean, there's other circumstances, of course, that are at play regarding the wedding, you know, getting the visa, paperwork, some mysterious reason why they're canceling this. But it is just more data in the column of the conceptualization that they both have a limited understanding of how their actions affect the bigger picture.
زعما ما بقيناش غادي نديرو الحجز.
علاش؟
والله حيت زعما كاين بزاف د الحوايج. كاين زعما حنا بغينا زعما ماشي الفلوس اللي عندنا نمشيو نضيعهم كاملين في العرس. ولا غد ليه تقلبي باش تعيشي راه.
نتوما والي.
Okay, so Azan is saying now the reason why we don't want to get married is because we're going to have to shell out all this money and it'll all be just for a wedding and then we'll be broke afterwards. So, okay, does that mean they want to have a small wedding, or not a wedding, but a legal wedding where you don't have to spend much money? I don't know. Let's continue watching.
حاسة إنه نيكول خلانا وجدنا وعاود تاني علمنا الناس وصحاب القاعة صحاب تلقى في كل شيء ما عرفت ما نقول باقي شي بزاف.
We are going to get married, just we don't know when.
قالت لك المهم هي غادي يكون العرس دابا ياكي ولكن مازال ما عرفنا.
دابا راه هادي الثانية في المرة باش درتو لنا هكا.
Just tell her that we're really sorry.
It's really bizarre. I mean, I just don't understand what's happening right now. They're saying that we don't want to get married because it's going to be too expensive, but we're eventually going to get married, at which time it's going to be too expensive. We don't have any plan to get a job in the interim. We don't have any reason why we're not getting married right now. It's just such a weird thing. It just seems like there's something else to the story that they're not telling us, but I don't know.
And I don't know.
I'm not getting it. I mean,
It's okay, you don't
were
have to.
that close to the wedding.
All right, so I think Rabalee, the mother, is expressing what a lot of us would be expressing, which is, I don't get it. I don't understand. You're putting off the wedding. Why? It doesn't make any sense. I think there's a number of factors heading into this. As I said, that the youthful personality that Azan and Nicole both had, I think both leads to perhaps the problem that they're not telling us about and they're not telling the mom about, and their ability to cover up the problem.
Right now, I can't read her very well. She hasn't opened up yet and told me what's going through her mind. But knowing how much she really wanted this wedding, knowing everything she's done to get to this point, and now suddenly they're not going to get married, something's off.
Mom, everything is fine. We just want to have a good life once we're married. So instead of doing the wedding, we've decided to try and open a beauty shop and health thing.
Okay, there it is. So they want to open a health and beauty shop, and then they will earn enough money so that they can pay for a wedding after that point. I'm guessing a more accurate story, this is just a stab at it, is that the money that they were going to put towards the wedding, they actually want to build a business together, and it's probably Azan's idea. It just seems that sort of has that kind of flavor to it. All right, again, there is nothing wrong with Nicole and Azan making that choice. The rest of the family has to figure out how they're going to react to this, right? They might say, okay, you know what? Next time you say there's a wedding, I'm not coming, because this has been twice now that I have come to Morocco to attend your wedding because I'm your mother. So the next time you say there's a wedding, I'd be stupid to believe that there's going to be a wedding. So you know what? For me, I'm out. And I wish you luck. And if you get married in the States, in Florida, then I'll attend that wedding. But I'm not coming out here anymore. I don't know. Certainly people around Nicole and Azan can be upset. They could be like, I'm never loaning them money again, or I'm never paying for anything ever again. They can make their own choices because those are the natural consequences to two youthful personalities that are affecting the world around them and not necessarily really understanding that they are going to affect people around them. Everyone around them is free to have their anger and free to have their decisions about this reflect their behavior right now. But they're also free, Nicole and Azan, to make this choice. And it's not a terrible choice. It's saying, look, we don't want to spend all that money on a wedding, and we'd rather open a business. Okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't sound like a viable plan, but because opening a business isn't a viable career plan, especially when the two of them, I don't think, have a lot of expertise in the area. But I don't know. Maybe they have a mentor to help them. Let's continue watching.
Don't give me that face. Don't do that.
Oh my gosh. I'm just not understanding what kind of shop that you're going to open. I mean,
we're gonna do like a makeup and facial beauty type thing. There's not really one in the area, so it would be good to have one here.
All right, I actually know something about this because my wife owns a makeup and beauty spa in New York, in Manhattan. If you're in the area and you want to check it out, it's called Daphne, and it's a wonderful high-end spa and skincare place. They have, apparently, they have products that you can only get at that store, something like that. So I have seen firsthand how it is to start a business like that. And this business was started by people that had already owned these sorts of businesses in the past, or they had a lot of expertise in the skincare industry. From my understanding, Azan and Nicole do not have that knowledge. The other thing that I will add is that it takes months, if not years, before you see any money from that business endeavor. It's a lot of investment of money and time and blood, sweat, and tears. Years later, you start to see a little bit of money coming in. That's usually how businesses work. When I started my private practice, I had to spend a lot of money on getting a graduate degree, on rent for an office, on getting my license, training, lots of expenditure of time and money. And then money starts to come in, it starts to pay back my student loans. And years down the line, then I actually started to make surplus money on my investment to become a therapist in private practice. So this notion that somehow they're just going to start a business and suddenly make a bunch of profit and then they'll be able to pay for a wedding doesn't sound very intelligent. But people are free to make their own choices. That's the thing here. For Rob Ali, what I would say to her, if I could pause time and talk to Rob Ali, I'd be like, okay, Rob Ali, it sounds like their plan doesn't have a lot of intelligence to it, and I think you're picking up on that. That's fine. You can give them advice, and maybe they'll listen, maybe they won't. But they're grown adults, and they're just going to make their own choices. And one of the ways that they're going to learn how to make better choices is if they make choices and then fall on their face and learn from their mistakes. Because I think that Nicole and Azan have what I've been calling a youthful personality, a naivete about how the world works. Barking at them about how the world works doesn't usually work. I mean, parents out there who have teenagers, you know this to be true. Just yelling at your kids about how the world works doesn't teach them how the world works, usually. What teaches them how the world works is the world. When you actually interface with the word, you're like, oh, my parents were right about those things. I thought they were stupid, but they were right about those kinds of things. So for Nicole and Azan to learn about how the world works, maybe they have to start this business and fail and realize, oh, I guess that dream we had that we always had on the back burner that we thought we were going to pull out and be like, okay, this is my grand plan, wasn't such a grand plan. Maybe they just need to learn from that. Now, the problem here is, of course, there's May, the young child, who has to, experience all those consequences as a innocent young child. And yeah, it's just one of those things. There's not much anyone can do about it. The mom, Rob Ali, can do what she can, and she could try to advise. As I've been saying throughout this series with Nicole and Azan, is that if the mom wants to be an influence on Nicole and Azan, the mom has to communicate in a way that the two of them can hear. If the mom, Rob Ali, is critical and dismissive, Nicole is just going to cut her out, which I don't think Rob Ali wants. So if Rob Ali were to have a more curious point of view of just like, okay, tell me more, I'm curious. You're going to start a business. That's fantastic. Even though in the back of her mind, she's just like, this sounds like a disaster. But if you want to be influential, you have to have a good bond. Nicole has to trust you. Let's build on that. And then you can start to influence things. Then Nicole might actually ask you for advice, just unprompted, because you are a supportive person who doesn't judge as a knee-jerk reaction. So let's see how she manages this.
Azan has wanted to open a shop, and we've decided to open a makeup shop together. So a lot of the money that I saved up from America is now in the store.
All right, well, that's not doing wonders for the narrative that Azan is just in it to get a bunch of money from Nicole. Yikes. Because that's what everyone is saying, right? It's like, oh, Azan's just using Nicole for money. And now, on the eve before they get married, they call the wedding off, and Azan is like, hey, how about instead of getting married, Nicole, you give me that nest egg that you were saving up for the wedding, and you let me use that money to start my own business of selling makeup. Again, could be completely legit and an honest business opportunity. And maybe y'all know, since this is in the past, that Azan has a thriving makeup store business. I'm guessing in Morocco, since he can't come to the United States yet. But I'm quite sure that this detail is another reason to believe that Azan is up to no good. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me. Comment below if you want, subscribe if you want, hit the bell if you want, hit the up thing if you want, hit the downvote if you want. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.